We stand on the precipice of change. The world fears the inevitable plummet into the abyss. Watch for that moment, and when it comes, do not hesitate to leap. For it is when we fall, we learn whether we can fly. The 90s is known for a lot of things, ranging from its crazy fashion sense, to nostalgic shows, to even crazier ideas.
It's kind of.
It's also...
Hi, Courtney!
The 90s is also known for the video game industry popping off, coming out with consoles such as the N64, coming out with even greater games, and the list goes on. A lot of different video game companies were founded, and one of those companies, known as Bioware. Hello, how's everybody doing? My name is Andraste, and you're probably thinking, two things right now. One, well, her name is Andraste. It makes sense why she's making a video about Dragon Age.
Is that supposed to be Andraste's face on your crotch? What?
And two, what is the whole point of this video? Pretty much, there's been a resurgence of kind of, I wouldn't say popularity, but talk, I should say, about not only the Dragon Age series, but Bioware in general. I hate to say this, but it's not necessarily the best talk. I'm gonna add a little bit of editing power right here. Showcase you guys how it's not doing very well. And one thing that I found really interesting about the entire precipice of why BioWare isn't doing well has always had to do with EA being blamed. And don't get me wrong, EA does have a lot to do with video game companies not coming out with the best games, if you know why. Like going back in time and actually viewing the history of the mid to late 90s, especially of when BioWare was first founded, it's had its ups and definitely downs. Definitely down since the company was founded.
It's gonna scare everybody. It's gonna be great. Watch this.
It was very interesting kind of exploring the overall history, especially as Dragon Age Dreadwolf is coming up. If you haven't been part of the Dragon Age community for a very long time, or hell, even the BioWare community, before the final release of Dragon Age Inquisition, there used to be a lot of hype. Not only fan interaction with the devs, but overall fan interaction with the entire company. It's really interesting to see this approach now versus the past couple approaches with not only Dragon Age Inquisition, but Dragon Age 2. A good comparison is what Larian is currently doing with its Baldur's Gate 3 fans, and even fans who are going to other games because of Baldur's Gate. So what's the whole point of this video then? I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown of the overall history and also link some videos of some other creators who go more in depth. If you really want more in depth and names, even more in depth with dates and etc, I highly suggest you guys check out these videos, as this is going to be more of not only a quick history of everything that has happened since the creation in 1995/1996. I've seen both. I've seen 1995 and I've seen 1996, so I'm putting a slash there. So there is a slash. These are not only where I got a lot of my information from. Like I said, they just go more in depth, so if you want names, you want faces, you want to know who you want to get upset in your tummy wummy because you feel like these people ruined your favorite video game, you want to get all angry on Twitter, then there you go. That was a joke. Please don't angrily tweet anybody. I'd feel really bad, especially if you did it because of my video. Oh, please don't. No hate. So let's start from the very beginning, shall we?
Hey, you're finally awake.
It was founded in 1995. I have also seen 1996. So either or, it was started in the mid to late 1990s. It was founded by a team of 6. Do you see why I do not want to fucking say these names? Ray Musica, and Greg Zeszczyk, Trent Oster. Okay, that one was pretty easy. His brother Brent, His brother's Brent? Wait, his name was Trent, and his brother's name is Brent. I'm not getting into it. And then Zeshwick's cousin Marcel and Augustine Yip. These names were difficult. This is why I don't want to say any of them. As somebody who also has like a really hard last name to pronounce, I just usually end up spelling it. Like, people will be like, okay, what's your last name? I just start spelling it. I don't even try. So pretty much they put this game company together and they were like, hey, let's all do this. I know 3 of us are doctors, but like, let's do a passion. I really like that. They were like, not only are we doctors, we're nerds. We're geeks, we're nerds. It's like 2 and 2 come together. Now Kith. The first game that came out was a game called Shattered Steel, and it was a mech game. I will say, it's kind of ironic to think that Shattered Steel, which was the game that kind of put them, not necessarily on the map, but kind of gave them like, hey guys, look what we can do. And people being like, oh wow, that's actually kind of cool. Like, look at you go. For that to put them on the map, and pretty much possibly the game to ruin them, is also a mech-based game, is just, I'm not gonna fucking lie. That's kind of ironic. Ugh. Yikes. So there were kind of problems from the very beginning. Shortly after Shattered Steel came out, there were inner struggles which caused a member to be fired, 2 to leave, and 1 of the members to come back after they had left. The 2 that had left actually wanted to start a different video game company, and it did not go so well. So shortly after Shattered Steel was created, there were 2 teams that were created, and one of the teams was more of a pen and paper digital RPG focused. This is the team that led to the creation of Baldur's Gate. If you guys don't know what Baldur's Gate is, do you live under a fucking rock?
Yes.
How do you know what Dragon Age is but not know what Baldur's Gate is? Well, if you don't know the history of Baldur's Gate, like the entire franchise, that's a little bit more understandable. So originally Baldur's Gate was created by Bioware. They created the first 2, and Baldur's Gate 2 especially was a massive success. It was known as Bioware's first golden child. Its second being Knights of the Old Republic KOTOR. And not only was Baldur's Gate 2 such a massive success, it actually won Game of the Year in 2001. Ooh, look at you, Bioware. Also, fun fact about Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's Gate, take a shot every time I say Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's Gate was created with a lot of characters from the dev's own personal D&D campaigns. So during the creation of Baldur's Gate, there was another game that was also coming out, which was called Burp. It was called Neverwinter Nights, and that was an open tool set and multiplayer RPG, and it was actually kind of popular. It did really, really good. So going back to winning Game of the Year in 2001, Neverwinter Nights 2 was in the process of coming out, and this is the first time that something known as Bioware magic came into play. So pretty much Bioware magic was this belief since the early set of the company that no matter how much like they were behind on a project, no matter how much it was like falling apart and things weren't working out, as long as they just crammed as much time and effort last minute into it as they could pretty much release a fucking stellar game and even a game worthy of winning Game of the Year. Trent Oster said that he worked 200 hours in the last 2 weeks of the development of Neverwinter Nights 2. A lot of the employees were working 12-hour shifts for 2 weeks. That's like me during COVID. Jesus Christ. Garlic butter everywhere, dude. I went home, there was fucking garlic butter in my coochie. It was wild. So after this, we have KOTOR. KOTOR comes out, and then we have Elevation Studios, which was a fucking mess. So now we've got John Rick, another person's name I can't fucking say. John Riccitello. Riccitello. We have Johnny Boy. We got our friend Johnny, How you doing, Johnny? Not Bravo, but I'm sure they're good friends. I'm sure they're good friends. So pretty much we have this dude named John. He used to work for EA. He either left or he got fired. I forget. And it's on my notes. Point being, he's not with EA anymore. He pretty much creates Elevation Studios. He does a partnership with not only Bioware, but with Pandemic Studios. They created Destroy All Humans, Battlefront 1, and also the Clone Wars. Sorry. So this partnership's going on. It's going on, I think, for a couple years. And then this massive fuck up happens for some reason. And I don't know if it was like a lack of communication. I don't even know, because now that I think about it, I think there were plenty of people that knew that the Xbox 360 and the PS2 were coming out. I don't know the fucking marketing team that Microsoft and Sony had in the late 90s, early 2000s. But point being, Elevation Studio didn't pretty much budget for the next gen consoles that were coming out, which was the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And because of that, they kind of fucked over both studios really bad. Our boy Johnny, he just up and left, went back to EA. Daddy, I miss you. Let me suckle on your teeth, Daddy. I miss you. Bioware was afraid that they weren't gonna have enough money, and this led to them signing with the devil. And no, they didn't have to go to Georgia for that. I don't know where they went, but they probably email. I don't know. AOL was kind of popular back then, so I'm guessing AOL possibly. I would have been a kindergartner. The only thing I knew back then was, all I knew was Jet Set Radio, Sneakers, and Fusion Frenzy. Ooh, and Fable. Fable was really fun. Fuck the fishing game. So after they had signed, this completely changed the work environment that BioWare was used to. It became less family friendly and a lot more just kind of businessy. A lot of people had to start like commuting, and it just wasn't the same environment that everybody had grown to love over the past decade. Mass Effect 2 is said to be the last game that also had a lot of influence from EA. That kind of explains Dragon Age 2. I'm not picking my nose, Mom. Dragon Age 2 comes out and a lot of people left. A year after Dragon Age 2, the last two remaining creators of BioWare leave. And this is 2 years before Dragon Age Inquisition. So pretty much before Dragon Age Inquisition was coming out, there is a promise that there was gonna be no BioWare magic. No magic. This is a magic-free zone. We've got Templars everywhere. No magic. So point being, apparently the conditions were just as bad as before. It is rumored that a lot of the devs actually wanted Dragon Age Inquisition to do really badly, do really poorly. They had angst against their own game, and if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what else would. Dragon Age Inquisition ended up winning Game of the Year. During this time, Anthem was already in the works, and pretty much because of the struggle bus of Anthem and everything that had just happened with Dragon Age Inquisition, this is around the time that a lot of people started leaving. Very, very well-known names in the community. People who had been around since the original Baldur's Gate. This is even before the huge wipe that a lot of video game companies have been doing. A lot to do with what they were making them do, the amount of work that they were making them do, the lack of communication about the projects that they were working on, and then switching them from project to another project, and then switching what that project was even focusing on. What information is there about Dragon Age Dreadwolf? We do know that it will still continue to be on the Frostbite engine. At first I was a little bit hesitant, but the one plus side that I did find during my research was that apparently they're not starting from scratch. They're a lot more familiar than they were during Andromeda, but the one worrisome thing about the fact that they are still sticking with the Frostbite engine, which based off of everything is because of EA. Apparently Frostbite is very hard to mod, and honestly, as somebody who has been currently trying to mod Dragon Age Inquisition, I can fucking, yeah, that's kind of hard. Even games from 10 years ago are just as easy to mod as new game, but with Dragon Age Inquisition and any other Dragon Age game, it just refuses to evolve. I don't know. They also switched projects. So originally, Dragon Age was listed under the name of Project Joplin, which was a story-focused game, and it was supposed to be single player. This eventually moved to Project Morrison, and this was a live-action online campaign. Yeah, this is also around the time I believe David Gator left, which I do not blame him. Give that baby little cinnamon roll. Give the baby little cinnamon roll. Give him what he deserves. He deserves a good work environment. He will finish. He will finish. Give him a good job. Okay, sorry, that was my David Gator rant. I'm like pissed for this dude. Going into like all this shit, I am pissed for him. So roughly they've been working on this game for about 10 years, and in 2021 they decide to stop working on stop working on Morrison, and I don't think go back to Joplin per se, but pretty much switch it to a a single player. They switched it back to a single player. We have little to no information at all about Dragon Age. How do I say this? There are a lot more people playing video games now than there were 10 years ago. A lot of this has to do with COVID, a lot of this has to do with streaming, a lot of this has to do with popularity, time, blah, 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 blah. It has to do with a lot of things. The way that Bioware used to interact with its fans during a release of a video game was completely different than what it is now. A good way to explain it is the way that Larian treats its current fans of Baldur's Gate. Just pretty much the way that they talk and interact and, release tidbits of information, even though they're about patches and not game releases, but kind of hinting and teasing whenever they come up with good ideas that they're going to release in the next patch. That was Bioware. And it was so much fun because they would tease at companions that were going to be released. They would tease at the story. They would tease at the plot. It would build up this hype that was not only fun for the people who were involved with it, I think it was a good way to bring people who weren't into Dragon Age or were just into Mass Effect into the Dragon Age community. We have gotten none of that. There is this clear secrecy that Bioware has, and I think it honestly has somewhat damaged it more than it has helped it, especially after Baldur's Gate 3. I really thought Elden Ring was gonna do a number, but Baldur's Gate 3, wow, fucking bent BioWare over a table and smacked its booty fucking crazy.
Felicitate me.
Its cheeks are bright red, redder than Karlach's face. Redder than Karlach if she were to get a sunburn. Holy shit. The quality of games have not been best the last couple of years. I'm mostly talking especially upon release. I'm not saying that there's a chance Dragon Age can't do what Cyberpunk did. BioWare has a history of taking on projects and then dropping them and kind of giving up on them. We saw this with Star Wars The Old Republic. We saw this with Dragon Age Inquisition when they tried to make Dragon Age Inquisition this weird multiplayer live action thing. Unlike, for example, CDR, who created The Witcher. The Witcher was very buggy and it was still a great game, but it was very buggy. And then there was Cyberpunk, which was so buggy that you couldn't even enjoy it, but is now considered a good game. Is there a chance that BioWare can do this? Possibly, but with the recurrent history of how they tend to drop their games, and as somebody who has personally grew up not only with video games, but with BioWare, I don't really see it happening. These are some of the very creative people, very well-known people who have left BioWare, which is senior designer David Gator, general manager Aaron Flynn, creative director Mark Laidlaw, designer James Olin. These people actually left, I think, twice, or at least multiple times. So, meaning they left at one point and then were brought back to work on a project. The replacements, Casey Hudson and Mark Dara, I'm just bad at this. Bioware has been almost completely silent about their game. The only thing that they have released besides that little teaser trailer, which possibly won't even relate to the current project that they're working on, besides the fact that Solus was like the main villain, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that Baldur's Gate 3 came out, because without Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, I feel like a lot of people, at least in my personal opinion, would have just been okay with it. There's nothing wrong with being okay with the game. It's another issue if a game or a gaming company literally puts out trash and expects people to buy it because they worked hard on it. Some people believe that just because devs have worked really hard on a project that they deserve to like be recognized as a good game, and that has severely hindered a lot. To see a company go from this very open, even when they were struggling, I mean, obviously they didn't tell us about the Bioware magic until after Dragon Age 2, and they kind of lied to everybody saying that they weren't gonna do it, and then they ended up doing it again. It's so interesting. I mean, to compare how the Dragon Age community was 10 years ago to now is just wild. It's very concerning. People already know that there's devs who are leaving. There's also the 50 employees who got fired, which is a completely different story in itself, who are suing BioWare because they were fucking let go for really, really shitty reasons. You put all of that together, and it's kind of like a recipe for a disastrous game. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong here. I really don't think I'm wrong. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna be posting shorts of me playing Dark Souls 3 and maybe even Dragon Age Inquisition. Hopefully, if I can get it fucking modded. I'm gonna be posting those very, very shortly. If you would like to follow my live streams, all my information is down below. Have a good day. Please be safe and don't talk to strangers. Goodbye.